The wise man speaks because he has something to say. The fool, because he has to say something. Mr. Toastmaster, I was here about 6 weeks ago, and I said in that speech that I was going to challenge myself, with your encouragement, to see if I had enough content fluency and interest to create a blog. In the last month, I've practiced by doing a load of speeches, 17 of them to be precise. 15 of them were related to the path. One of them was a contest in competing in the division contest, table topics, and the other one was the final speech of my other path. What I'd like to do in this speech is to just set out what I attempted to do, tell you a little bit of what I actually did, give you my reflections on it, and then conclude. So the first part. I got a huge amount of encouragement from you when I was back here in October, after I lamented my inertia for not starting this blog. And I got a lot of people said to me afterwards in texts, in emails, great speech, you should give it a go. There's nothing like having some extrinsic motivation to actually get you off your backside, so to speak, get out and do things and set them up. So I contacted friends in clubs all around the world, from Hawaii to Oregon to California to Florida to Scotland, 2 clubs in Scotland, 1 in the UK, and about 8 clubs in Ireland. And I lined up a series of speeches in about 3 days that would take me through the month. I wanted to do different topics, and I wanted to see if I could put it all together sufficiently quickly to be able to maintain momentum right throughout the month. Started off in Grants Pass, Oregon on the 2nd of November, and it's a week since I've done my last speech, a week and a half actually. I finished as Toastmaster last week, and I had spoken the night before that. So it's over a week since the penultimate speech. I've spoken on 12 or 13 different topics, from health and illness, about resilience, about communication, about disagreement, about mindset, about taking offense, about relationships, about building the use of stories. I did one on rapid speech construction because I learned an awful lot about how you construct a speech really, really quickly, because I had to. I was constructing speeches at the end of this project in about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and delivering them to camera pretty much without notes, occasionally having to look to try and get my bearings, but generally reasonably quickly. I can't remember all of the things I spoke about, so that's why the notes are down here. I got wonderful feedback and an awful lot of encouragement, and learned a huge amount from that. In one club, Advanced Orators in Manchester, Sunday morning club, the program was all table topics, and each topic was evaluated by 2 people, and each speech was evaluated by 2 people. And at the end of the meeting, one thing different happened that I've never experienced before. I was asked what had I learned from the evaluations, which I thought was a fantastic thing to do, because it's learning about learning. It's asking you, what are you taking away from your evaluations, as distinct from just giving you an evaluation and a challenge. So it's asking you to verbalize that in a way that was really, really constructive. And I really enjoyed that part of it. I learned a bit about starting and ending speeches with the same thought, so that speeches aren't just completely linear. They don't start at a point and finish at a different point. I learned a lot about story. I was encouraged in researching story to get another club, Accentuators, who have rolled out a story to 4,000 people, a storytelling workshop to 4,000 people around the world. And I asked them to come and give that in the club that I'm mentoring to Microsoft. And it was a fantastic success and a wonderful demonstration of the value that is in Toastmasters and the relationships that we have, and that people will act for us and work for us. I touched a lot of chords. I got wonderful feedback. I got invited back everywhere I went. And that to me is the acid test. Do you get asked back? And if you get asked back, well then people generally have got some value out of your speeches. So I thought, I've done okay. But the real test of this was to see whether putting all of these speeches up on YouTube, they would get any traction, anybody would subscribe to them, would they be viewed, how much of them would be viewed, and who would be my judge? Or would I be judged at all? Because the purpose of this is to be judged. The purpose is to know whether I have enough to say that's of value that people would actually want to look at this blog if I do it. Where am I now? I've sort of prevaricated still. It feels a little bit like joining Toastmasters, putting yourself out in the public. It feels a little bit like doing your icebreaker. It's another start. It's a slightly different start, but it's another start. It's putting myself out in the public and asking people to judge whether this has value or not. And the way to do that for me was to put it in my LinkedIn profile. I have a lot of followers on LinkedIn, or a lot of connections. And this morning early, I did that. I don't know where that's going to turn out, but I hope positively. I know I had one conversation this afternoon with somebody who rang me up about something else and said that they had listened to 4 or 5 of them and had got some inspiration from them, or had got some value from them. And that felt good. I know others have looked at them, and I hope that there has been some value delivered in them. But I won't know, and often you don't know. A small number of people have subscribed, but I don't know who they are. And I find that I think I know who some of them are, but I don't know who they are. And I would like to know. There's been very few comments on them, bar a couple. They'd be nice, the comments that have been there. I know the people that made them. Yeah, and you get the usual rubbish that gets thrown onto your website or your YouTube channel by people who have no interest in what you're doing. But I'm sort of in a quandary and saying to myself, do I keep going? Do I keep going with shorter speeches, 5 to 7 minute speeches, or possibly a little long? Should I record something that's 2 or 3 minutes? Should I do it more regularly? Is it daily? Is it every 2 or 3 times a week? What's the schedule? I'm grappling with that. Do I have enough content to do it every day or very regularly? Or is it just a thought for the day? But that feels a little bit superficial. That's like taking a quote and giving it. I'm therefore at another crossroads. I've progressed, but perhaps not as much as I might have liked. I'm not sure that I have the bravery to go to the next stage, but I think I will. I now need to commit to it again. And you gave me the encouragement to commit the last time to the trial. Now it's get off the pot time. A word that came to mind after the storytelling session was the word intentional. Be intentional about what you're doing. And I like that word because intentional has purpose to it. And if I'm to be intentional, well then encouragement is very helpful, but the knowledge that people are actually listening to what's being said, that find some value in it, is the great encouragement, the best form of encouragement, because that's why I want to do it. I want to share some of what I've learned. I want to share some of those experiences. I want to share some of my knowledge. I want people to understand some of the things that I have found valuable to understand, that have helped me get through difficulty, through problems, that have helped me to make sense of the world, make sense of life, and make sense of what the big challenges are and what's important. I therefore ask you, if you get time, look at one or two, or one even, of the talks that are on YouTube. Send me some feedback on them. I'd really appreciate that. Please be my judge. Tell me, are they worth doing more of? That is the greatest thing that you can do for me. Please therefore be my judge and let me know, am I a wise man speaking because I have something to say, or am I a fool just saying something? Mr. Toastmaster.